you I could do it using the leftover funds from the original deposit. Don't tell me you're afraid that I cheaped out on the dress.
No, not at all. I have only the fullest faith in your work, Miss Chiori. I'm just in shock, that's all. It's always been my dream to wear a Chioriya boutique dress for my wedding. I really thought the chance had passed me by.
Ooh, is that lady the owner of Chioriya Boutique? We've never seen her before.
I'm a woman of my word. If I say I can do something, then it'll be done. The first rule of business is to always keep your promises. Now, remember to not fold the gown, or store it under direct sunlight. I'd recommend only taking it out on the day of the wedding. From the look on your face, I can tell that may be a little difficult for you.
I'll try my best. Once he sees me in this, his jaw is gonna drop straight to the floor.
Are you here to check out the offerings?
Sure are. Oh, hi, Paimon, and this is the Traveler. You're Miss Chiori, the owner of this boutique, right?
That's right. Oh, Navia told me about you. Glad to make your acquaintance.
Well, we've heard a lot about you, too. Chioriya Boutique is super famous in Fontaine.
Well, I appreciate the recognition. Is there anything you're looking for exactly? We're out of kids' clothes right now, I'm afraid.
Hey, Paimon's not a kid.
Oh, that. Well, if news of the event has reached your ears, I suppose the Fontaine Apparel Association's advertising efforts have paid off.
Are there any fun and popular activities that we can take part in?
Fashion Week isn't what I'd call fun, but it certainly always attracts a crowd. It's a fashion extravaganza that only takes place once a year, after all.
Will you be showing off some of your designs, too?
Of course. All designers at the Court of Fontaine use the week to advertise their brand. If you're lucky, you could even land a large amount of orders as soon as the main show ends. Come to think of it, it was also at a previous fashion week that our label first took off.
Aren't you pretty much an established name now? People will still buy your clothes even if you don't participate this year, right?
Yeah, that's not quite how it works. While many people buy clothes for fit and style, the fashion industry also strongly values a label's artistic vision and creative direction. Why would anyone patronize a label that hasn't even bothered to put out any new designs for the year? In the end, fashion is just a representation of the spirit of the times. People support your brand because they support the vision it represents.
Huh. Okay, so maybe fashion's more complicated than Paimon thought. All that complicated stuff aside, you're saying we'll be able to see new Chioriya designs at the show?
Absolutely. The designs have already been finalized. I'm just waiting for the fabrics to arrive.
Ooh, are you using materials you can't get in Fontaine?
Well, I still have a certain partiality to Inazuma-made fabrics. The textures are pleasant to the touch, and their familiarity gives me a sense of security.
Oh, Paimon gets it!
Ugh, something like that. Yes.
We're a long way from Inazuma, though. Aren't you concerned that your shipment might get lost or stolen along the way?
No need to worry. I've already taken steps to ensure that it will arrive safely. I've entrusted the job to Komani Express's most reliable courier.
Excuse me. Coming through. Coming through. Chiori, your shipment's here. I know it's quite late, so I'm really sorry.
Deep breaths, Kirara. Then start again.
Oh, so Kirara's the courier you were talking about.
Oh, hey, Traveler and Paimon. Fancy seeing you here in Fontaine. Wait a second. This is the second time that you've seen me flub a delivery job now, isn't it? Oh, you somehow always happen to catch me off my game, huh?
So, what was the holdup? Sailing blaze, bad weather.
Huh? No, nothing like that. I just ran into a bit of trouble, that's all.
Bandits, then? Or treasure hoarders? A few run-ins on the road aren't usually enough to give you any trouble.
Well, I didn't run into anyone exactly. I just got a little lost.
Keeping you honest as always, I see.
Alright. I was stopped by a group of bandits as soon as I entered Fontaine. They were a little different from the ones I usually run into. I could hear them mumbling about Komunia Express. It was obvious they were looking for someone with two tails.
So it was a targeted hit?
I got the sense that they were actually targeting Chiori's goods.
My fabric shipment?
Yeah, they said that I could go as long as I left the goods with them. Otherwise, they'd stuff me into my delivery box and toss me into the sea to drown.
Oh, are you okay, Kiara?
Oh, I'm good. I'm still a yokai after all. I turned them over to the guards. It just took me a while to round them all up.
Well, it's not completely out of the ordinary for one of your deliveries to get intercepted. But it still doesn't make sense how you knew it was my goods they were after. You've got other deliveries to make in Fontaine, don't you? Is there something else that you're keeping from me?
Huh? Well...
Perhaps I need to reconsider how many stars to give you on my review.
You always know how to get me, Chiori. Alright, I'll talk. So, I kind of wanted to know why anyone would order a hit on me, so I spent a bit of time investigating. One of the bandits had a loose tongue, which saved me some time. He said that a certain person had commissioned them to intercept Chioria Boutique's delivery.
And who might this person be?
Chiori, why don't we just let this one go? I mean, I didn't really get injured, and you've still got Fashion Week to worry about.
I appreciate your kindness, Kirara, but if I don't teach this person a lesson, I doubt they'll stop here. Anyone that dares to mess with one of my friends deserves a stern talking to and then some.
Alright. The guy said that the commissioner was someone by the name of Uter.
Uter. Now that name rings a bell. What did you say, Kirara?
Well, that's exactly why I didn't want to bring it up to you.
So you both know this Uter guy?
Through Chiori's complaints about him, sure. He's a fellow fashion designer who's made it his goal in life to make hers as miserable as possible.
Oh, so he's like a business rival.
A rival is what you call someone who fights you fair and square. Uter, however, just has it out for me as a designer. He's publicly disparaged my design choices, my use of materials. He's practically tried every trick in the book to ruin my good name. I've already warned him before to compete with me fair and square, but I guess he prefers playing dirty. Well, I'm more than happy to oblige.
Wait, Chiori, where are you going?
To teach someone a lesson. You must be tired after your long journey. Why don't you rest in my shop for a little while before heading back?
Chiori! Wait!
And she's gone.
No. What should we do?
You seem concerned. Should we be worried?
Well, she's always been the type of person to face things head on. But with her fiery temper, I'm just worried whatever she's about to do will fuel negative publicity about her right before the start of Fashion Week. Traveler, Paimon, could you go after her?
Yeah, we'll take good care of Chiori.
To be honest, I'm more worried about the Uter guy's safety.
Take it easy.
chance you're on the clock, officer?
Nothing good ever comes out of you addressing me like that. Oh? And who are these two?
So you came too? Allow me to introduce you. These two are the Traveler and Paimon. This officer over here is Shelvrus, captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol.
The Special Security and Surveillance Patrol? You mean that organization where everyone carries a musket?
Well, I wouldn't say everyone on the patrol uses a musket. I just happen to have formed a platoon made up mostly of musketeers.
Whoa, Chiori, Paimon didn't know you went so far back with such a cool person!
It's nothing. In my line of work, it's not uncommon to run into some trouble every now and then, and she's helped me get out of a few sticky situations. In return, I've helped her take care of some things that you could say aren't exactly in her purview as the captain of the Special Patrol, and that's how we got to know each other.
It's nice to meet you both. I have to say, your reputation precedes you. So, did something happen?
Indeed it did. I'll need you to come with me.
I only ever hear that phrase from you. Usually I'm the one asking people to do that.
Well, are you coming?
Not before I know what you're planning.
Have I ever made a bad call?
The better question is, have you ever made one that didn't violate proper procedure?
Okay. A man hired a group of bandits to mug my friend. I'm about to go teach him a lesson.
Are you sure this is something you should be telling the captain of the Special Patrol? It's getting hard to tell whether you're here to report a case or turn yourself in for one.
Neither. I'm requesting personal supervision from said captain, so I don't do anything too out of line.
Are you planning to?
Not if I can help it.
Alright. Where is this person?
Follow me.
Just promise you'll start trying to keep yourself out of trouble.
Well, when trouble stops coming my way, I'll be sure to get on that. This should be the place. You all wait here.
You know, Shelvrus, Paimon gets this in...
It's just as Chiori said. We got to know each other pretty well in our lines of work. You could call it a...
Does Chiori often need your help?
I'd say it's mutual. The Special Patrol needs her help quite often as well. We've got tough problems of our own. Getting people the uniform, the musket, they're intimidating. Most people clam up the minute they see us. Lips sealed so tight, getting them to talk almost feels like trying to break into the fortress of Meripede. But put them in a clothing boutique, and they suddenly start gushing faster than the waters of the Fountain of Lucine.
Oh, is that because they're trying to show off or something?
Yep. People are vain creatures. They can't help but want to talk up new developments in their lives or show off how much they know about other people. And nothing brings out that sort of vanity quite like fashion. As a result, Chiori often picks up on all kinds of information in her shop. Most of her customers are members of the upper class, which means they're pretty much up to the gills in wealth and intel.
You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Huh.
Exactly. I'm also here to ensure Chiori's safety. Those who make trouble for her also tend to be rich and powerful. And in some very rare cases, I'm forced to protect other people from Chiori herself. So, who got on her case this time? It's been a while since I last saw her that angry.
Oh, so this is what happened.
Huh?
You've heard of him?
Yep. He's made trouble for Chiori several times already. He's fond of pretty much every dirty trick in the book. I heard that even the Maison Gardiennage issued him a warning due to his behavior. So he's back at it, huh? His funeral, I guess.
Whoa, what's this about a funeral?
I just meant that Uterre's done for. Now bring it in, you two.
Sure.
Because this is probably going to turn into one of those very rare cases I just talked about.
doing? Stay away from me!
Has anyone ever taught you the definition of stupidity?
Huh?
Stupidity is doing the same meaningless thing over and over again. It appears you've forgotten what I told you before. So, allow me to refresh your memory. Lay off the dirty tricks. Oh, and if you dare lay your hands on my friend again, you can expect a far less pleasant landing next time.
Ahem. Chiori?
Officer, an assault's in progress! Please, officer, you've got to do something!
Of course. I'll do my utmost to investigate the situation. Unfortunately, I was chatting with this traveler and seemed to have missed what happened. Not to worry, though. If you'd allow me to search the scene, I'm sure I'll be able to collect some useful evidence. You don't mind, do you? There's nothing in there that would implicate you in any illegal activity, I would hope.
Forget it. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Ms. Chiori, I must also ask you to refrain from engaging in such disorderly conduct in the future, especially out in the open like this.
Apologies, officer. I guess you could say I'm just used to tossing out any trash I come across on the street.
You...
Is there anything else either of you have to say for yourselves?
That's all from me. I sincerely hope that today's events will never happen again.
We'll see about that.
Whoa, that scared the heck out of Paimon! How did
You're too kind.
Now's not the time to be accepting compliments. What happened to not doing anything too out of line?
Oh, not if I could help it, is what I said. And I think I kept to that. I started with a verbal warning, but he displayed neither shame nor remorse. If anything, he kept running his mouth with insults and threats.
Insults and threats so bad that he deserved to be tossed out like a sack of trash?
Believe it or not, they were that bad. He deserved to get knocked down a peg. It's the only way to get him to stop.
You could have reported him to the guards.
Oh, I will. But it'll take some time for them to gather evidence. And he denied that he ever had anything to do with those bandits. I don't want anything else to happen during Fontaine Fashion Week. On top of that, if Kiraura is going to continue delivering goods for me, the least I can do is guarantee her safety. Oh, that reminds me. There is another favor.
What a shame. I believe you've already used up your favor quota for the day.
Have I? Well, it's a good thing I was planning on taking an advance on tomorrow's quota then.
Don't you think you're maxed out on advances already?
I always pay you back in information, don't I? It's just like you said. You scratch my back, and I scratch yours. We're back. You were gone for an awfully long time. There's nothing to worry about. All you need to know is that you'll never have to worry about someone in Fontaine messing with your deliveries again.
Sorry, Chiori.
What are you talking about? You didn't do anything wrong. Those greedy bandits are to blame, along with a certain someone who doesn't know when to lay off the petty tricks. The next time you need to leave the city, call the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol. They'll escort you half of the way, and the Spina di Rusula can take the second half. With that sort of escort, the next time you make a delivery, those treasure hoarders won't go anywhere near your goods. Unless, of course, it's to offer to carry them for you.
Good one, Chiori.
I'm being serious. You know me. If I bring something up, you can assume it's already a done deal. You're going back to Inazuma tomorrow, right?
Wait, you don't mean...
I've already spoken to the captain of the Special Patrol. As discussed, the patrol's going to take a small detour during their daily training tomorrow. As for Navia, I'll give her a heads up in a bit.
There's really no need. I'm just a simple courier. I don't need to be surrounded by a bunch of armed guards. Or ones with sunglasses, for that matter. Don't you think this is a bit much?
Well, you certainly shouldn't count on such a procession for every trip you make to Fontaine. It's just a one-off thing, for my own peace of mind. It'll also show those guys what'll happen to those who dare to mess with my friend.
Well, if you think it's a good idea, Trav.
Well, with the bad guys out of the way and your goods safely delivered, everything should be good to go for Fontaine Fashion Week, right?
I believe so. I'll try to churn out a few more outfits over the next few days.
Paimon's gonna take a guess and say suppliers are super important.
But of course, they supply us designers with funding, equipment, factory access. You have to work with them if you want to become a truly renowned fashion house. That's also why this year's Fashion Week is so important to me.
But isn't your brand already really famous, Chiori? Your clothes are so pretty and so nice to wear. I can't help but brag about them to my customers whenever I get the chance.
Even so, I would imagine there are still people who've never heard of the Chiori brand, yes?
Well, I mean, with the amount of places that I deliver to...
Then it's still not famous enough. My goal is to make the Chiori brand renowned throughout all of Teyvat.
All of it? Your business would have to get pretty huge then.
Wait, would that mean I could just go to any Chiori branch on the continent to get my clothes fixed? It has been pretty inconvenient having to come to Fontaine every time I need to get them patched up.
Alternatively, of course, you could just be a bit more careful with them. They're already about as durable as I can make them.
Okay, I'll admit, they do get snagged on branches pretty often, but I can't help it. It's hard to be careful about that sort of thing when you're trying to take a nice nap in a tree.
Well, if that's your dream, Chiori, then we should do our best to make it a reality. Is there anything we can do to help out with Fashion Week?
I'm sure I could think of something.
Oh, what is it? What is it?
Why don't you come to my shop tomorrow and model for me? Simply put, you'll serve as my living mannequins.
Oh, so we get to try on some of your clothes? Got it!
Seeing them off the rack will also give me the chance to make some small adjustments to the stitching and the silhouette of the design.
Sounds easy enough.
Most of the clothes you see during Fashion Week are meant to showcase the designer's vision. They're not exactly suitable for ready-to-wear use. If you like them, though, feel free to visit the boutique and see if anything catches your eye.
Ooh, sounds great! Paimon was just starting to get curious about all this design stuff.
Then we have a deal. You'll model some formal wear, Traveler, and I don't know. Paimon here will show off some kids' designs. I'll see you.
Yep, sounds good. Wait, kids' clothes?
Coming up, my husband promised to give me a replica of the most eye-catching outfit from the show.
I got a letter from an informant. Looks like the situation has changed again.
Read the paper today?
Chiori, we're here!
You're here early. I haven't even opened the shop yet.
Wait, has Kirara left already?
Yep, with the Special Patrol.
Did everything go all right on the road?
I believe so. The patrol makes for quite the entourage. The way they marched forward with Kirara in the center, you'd think she was some sort of VIP. For the second leg, the Spina also came with a pretty large group, led by Navia herself. They took care to clear the path beforehand as well. Kirara won't so much as step on a single stray rock on her journey. I even heard that Navia decided out of the blue to make a batch of macarons as a going-away gift for Kirara. An excellent souvenir to remember Fontaine by, I'd say.
Sounds like Navia really got into it.
My thoughts exactly. She even lamented the fact that she didn't have time to prepare something even fancier.
You know, now that you mention Navia, Paimon thinks the two of you are actually pretty similar. You say what you mean, and when you have an idea, you really hit the ground running.
I suppose that's why we're such good friends. Navia has a certain resilience about her. It's part of who she is. No matter what comes her way, she never bows down. That same spirit is the true vision of my brand. When she first mentioned commissioning an outfit...
It's like finding the perfect brand ambassador, huh?
Indeed. Customers pay attention not just to the clothes, but also to the figures in society who wear said clothes. People like to copy the styles of those they look up to.
Huh. And here...
Fashion is about more than just looks, my dear. Especially if you've got your sights set on a market the size of Teyvat. Well...
Oh yeah! Come on, let's get...
Indeed. Give me a moment while I go retrieve some
Set them up.
Just carefully organize the ready-to-wear clothes with an eye toward their types and styles.
Whoa, there sure is a lot that goes into running a store.
Well then, I'll leave the displays to you.
So, we just need to put all the clothes with similar styles together, right?
Not bad. You might just have an eye for design. Anyway, let's... Over here, stand still. I'll take your measurements first.
Excuse me, Miss Chiori.
Oh, good morning, Leanne. How have you been recently?
Not...
Your gown will be ready next week, so there's no need to worry about missing the ball. Or did you come here today because you'd like...
Oh, no. Nothing like that, Miss Chiori.
Cancel your order.
But you can keep the deposit, of course. I know you can't return any materials you've already used.
Don't worry about the materials. I'm more concerned about you. It's all right. I'm not trying to make things difficult for you. I'll take note of the cancellation.
Thank you. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry about it. Just let me know if there's anything I can do.
Is it just Paimon, or was she acting a bit strange just now? Wonder why she wouldn't...
It's not a big deal. These things happen every once in a family emergency. Judging from the look on her face, something's keeping her from revealing the truth to us.
Well, guess this means you'll have more time to work on fashion.
That's true. Come.
Is Miss Chiori in?
I am. How can I help you?
I'd like to return this item.
Oh. Could I ask why?
It's just, not to my liking. You said I could get a refund if I wasn't satisfied.
Is there something about it that didn't meet your expectations? Are the sleep...
No need. You don't have to concern yourself.
And I'd be happy to process that for you. If you could...
Is Chiori here? I'd like to return my outfit.
Another one?
Is there some sort of new calamity coming that I haven't heard about? Another flood? Or an apocalypse? Surely the entire population of Fontaine didn't convene and pick this one day to come and return my clothes. What?
What kind of rags are you trying to sell us, huh? The way I see it, this shop is nothing more than a black market front run by a bunch of dirty criminals.
Please calm down, sir.
What is he talking about?
Haven't you heard? Chioria Boutique has been exposed for having...
And just who is it that dares to throw that accusation around?
Well, you tell us. The fabrics you've got here, they're...
I've been transparent about my materials from the very beginning. I've already... If a little hearsay and baseless slander are enough to convince you, then by all means, go ahead and hand over your garments right now. Spare yourself from that flood of yours. Or have you not been convinced of that one just yet?
You...
Elof!
Miss Chiori?
Go outside and help these customers with their return requests. There's no need to ask them why. We'll refund them at the purchase price.
Alright.
And once you're done, put up the sign that says we're closed for the day.
Got it.
Chiori.
They couldn't be more fabricated if you tried. No need to worry about them. The real goal here is to divert my attention away from Fashion Week. The best response right now is to tune it out and
If you
The best way to respond to public skepticism is to let your work speak for itself.
Miss Yuri, bad news!
Oh, for the love of...
It's our accessories supplier. They just sent word that they'll no longer be able to supply us during Fashion Week.
What? No accessories? Not even...
Yes, that's what their messenger said.
And what about the models we asked them to book for us?
I think they'll
even the suppliers believe those nasty
Is the messenger still here?
No, they've already left.
So, no accessories means...
Not just that. It means no gems, ribbons, gold thread, all the elements that lend...
But if you take those away, does that mean you won't be...
Alof, you stay and watch the shop.
Yeah, and we can vouch for you too. We'll make sure...
Thank you. In that case...
By the way, we really are just going to talk, right?
Of course. I wouldn't do anything to one of my business partners, especially...
Who is it?
Venger, it's... We've worked together all these years. The least you could do is allow...
Straightforward as always, I see.
And when has following convention ever gotten me anywhere? Why hire a messenger when I can just explain things in person?
Have you...
I don't like to waste my time on baseless lies and speculation. Maybe.
You're right. I only subscribe to the Steambird.
So, these rumors.
No, not at all. They were in some second-rate fashion tabloids.
Well then, there you go. Those sort of headlines become old news faster than you can read them.
You would think that. Someone paid off the tabloids to publish the same article at once. They even went so far as to leave a copy in front of every house.
Every house? That means...
It seems your rival really pulled out all the stops this time, Shiori. The article was...
What sort of
a photo of you beating up someone on the street yesterday.
Yesterday?
Uter again.
Here, I've got a copy. See for yourselves.
Behind the scenes, the true Chiori, relying on its close ties to the criminal underworld, the Chioria
I don't know what happened, and I don't want to comment on things that I didn't see with my own eyes. Still...
Yeah, he was the one...
I appreciate you standing up for me, Paimon. But it can't be helped.
That's right. The court of public opinion has already made up its mind. Still, I've got to give your rival high marks for effort. They even dug up the fact that my father once served time in the Fortress of Meripede.
But that was so long ago.
In the world of fashion, your past is like a piece of clothing stained with mud. Once tainted, they claim that most of your clientele are criminals and that those who buy your clothes are just like you.
The absurdity. I don't...
Well, it's no laughing matter. Maybe your clientele are criminals. Maybe they're not. There's even the possibility that they're just people who happen to commit crimes after buying your... But with the way this art...
Venger, are you sure you won't reconsider?
But I'm no longer that brave young man with nothing to lose. I'd be perfectly happy to work with you again after this. But my daughter is manning the store during Fashion Week, and I don't want her implicated in all of this. She doesn't deserve to be swarmed by all that negative publicity. Let me offer you a piece of advice, Chiori. For old time's sake. Let this Fashion Week go. There's always next year. You just need to wait for all of this to blow over.
You're free to wait things out, Venger. I'll make my own choices. Have you ever thought maybe this attitude of mine is precisely what
Fair enough. Then I suppose all there's left to say is best of luck.
Understood.
So, what?
Without the accessories, I can no longer use my old designs.
How could they do this? They're making things up. The boutique doesn't have anything to do with violent crime.
Public opinion has never been about what's true and what's not. I should have seen it from the beginning. Uter knows me too well.
Well, guess all we can do is just head back for now.
Traveler! Paimon!
Charlotte, what are you doing here?
Looking for you, of course. Did you see those fashion tabloids this morning?
You mean that sorry excuse for an article?
You too, huh? Whoever wrote that article must have known the Steambird would never print something so defamatory. Unfortunately, not all papers and Miss Chiori doesn't deserve to suffer all this baseless slander.
That's great! With your help, we might be able to get some people back on our side!
It's my pleasure. I've met Miss Chiori several times. I know she's not the kind of She was the one who made the hat and tie for my camera, Monsieur Verite. Speaking of Miss Chiori, do you know where she went? Alof told me.
She was just...
If you ask me,
They kept up a solid front, though. I've even bought from them before.
Really? How was it?
The owner was plenty fierce, that's for...
Oh no, we've... Did you hear what...
Miss Chiori, it's also...
This is... Wait a second. You don't think Chiori might have gone looking...
That would only make the
You've got a point. Elaf, we're back! Oh, who's this?
This is Miss Letitia. She's all...
Oh, you were the one who came to collect the wedding dress yesterday, right?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm just here to thank her.
Ah, so you've come across that article?
Yeah, you probably don't know this. But after I got engaged, I didn't... My fiancé owns a small business. It doesn't bring in a lot of mora, but we get by. After he proposed, he took me to Chioria Boutique, and he probably noticed how often I talked about Miss Chiori's clothes, and how pretty...
And then?
And then, something happened to the business, and we ran into major mora problems. We were able to scrounge up enough to pay off our debts, but it left us without the funds to pay for the dress.
But didn't Chiori say she was able to make the dress from what was left of the original deposit?
Yes. When I came to cancel the order, she asked if something happened, and she heard me out, and then told me not to worry. She assured me that the deposit I paid would be enough for the dress, and that she'd be able to finish making...
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? I've always known...
It is good. It's just... After I went home yesterday, I couldn't help but take out the dress and...
Ah, what a shame. He's not
Well, see, that wasn't actually the... He's seen a lot of wedding dresses in his time doing business. So as soon as he's...
Huh? So wait...
Yeah. Miss Chiori covered all the costs and held nothing back.
Oh. Miss Letitia, I'd really like to use your story for a piece I'm writing about the boutique.
Huh? Well, if it would...
I think it'd go a long way.
Hey, Alof! Has Chiori come back?
Huh? I thought you were all together.
Well, we were. Is she...
Oh, I remember now. There's this one cliff by the sea.
In that case, why don't we split up?
Oh, all right, sounds good.
How did you know where I...
She did. We were just looking for you at the shop and Letitia was there.
I'm not upset. I just wanted to get some fresh air. Wanna sit here with me? The view's quite stunning. Sorry about that.
Alright, don't mind if we do.
Well, how does it feel?
This place is pretty great.
Right? It's quiet and open, and far from the relentless critique from fashion commentators and the media. It's just you and the beautiful scenery.
Yeah, it's important to take yourself out of that kind of stressful environment every once in a while.
I didn't grow up in a very strict family. My parents would joke I would get together with the other children to climb trees and explore caves. One time, I even...
Whoa, Paimon would have never imagined that.
But even as rambunctious as I was, when it came to needlework, it was as if I discovered a whole new world within those vibrant, dazzling fabrics.
Sorta.
My parents noticed, and they sent me to study under a famous Inazuman tailor. It wasn't long before I had driven away pretty much every master tailor on the archipelago. You could say I really tried their patience.
You were that misbehaved?
I wasn't misbehaved, exactly. I just often had strange ideas when it came to fashion. Ones that weren't in line with... On top of that, I hated the idea of groveling and making outfits for every arrogant big shot expecting me to be at their beck and call. Anyway, a few incidents later, I soon found myself without a master. Worse.
No wonder you left Inazuma.
I was angry and frustrated. So, before I left, I swore to all those masters that my brand would one day...
Well, that's a great dream to strive toward.
After that, I came all the way to the court of Fontaine. I had a lot of fun starting out. Sure, I was living in a small cramped room, but I had a far more naive view of fashion back then. As long as something was pretty, it would become popular, right? Of course, as I spent more and more time... Oh, you mean... Yeah, she did mention that dream. I'll be honest with you. That's... Who would have thought? Even as I continue to pursue my dream, Alright, that's enough sightseeing for one day. Time...
Ooh, looks like you've got your game face back!
Back? It was never gone to begin with. I did say I wasn't upset, didn't I?
Paimon thinks we should look for evidence that Uter wrote that article, and that he hired the... Charlotte's already working on an article to address all those nasty rumors.
I don't like duking it out in the press. But if Charlotte's thrown her, I know where Uter's clothing factory is located.
Sounds good! We'll come... As for Fashion Week, well...
Huh? When did this become an either-or situation? Find incriminating evidence or...
But your accessories! Didn't you...
Well, it's true that I haven't quite figured out what to do about that, but to tell you the truth, even here in Fontaine, every time I see the sea, I can't help but remember Inazuma. And thinking about all that, I just...
What?
The sea. Seashells, coral. I've got it.
Got what?
Come, let's take a dip, shall we?
Sure! Shiori, why did you just jump into the sea all of a sudden?
Paimon, what do you think is the most beautiful thing in the sea?
A Lumitoile? Or a pearl, maybe? Oh, coral's pretty too. Ah, Paimon gets it now! You want to use things like that as the accessories for your designs!
Well, now that you hit the nail on the head, help me grab some, would you?
Leave it to us! These be enough, right? Paimon picked all the prettiest ones in this area. Chiori, will these do?
Everything looks great.
Great! So are we gonna head back now and make some new designs?
Yes, but don't forget. We've got more than just the designs to worry about when we get back. Okay, we've got the materials for the accessories.
You mean we have to start from scratch?
I should be able to make it.
Oh no, skipping out on sleep isn't.
Ganyu?
A friend of ours who does way too much overtime. Well, anyway, sleep is important. You're not gonna convince.
Well, I can't argue with you there. One thing's for sure, though. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work. All this grit and determination. It reminds me of the first Fashion Week I ever participated in.
What else can we help with?
Let me see. I suppose all there's left to do is tear up all the outfits currently on display.
You got it!
You heard me. Tear them all up. When I went to that first Fashion Week, I had no savings to speak of. Just a few dozen yards of fabric and a dream. I had to make something work, so I tore up all the clothes that I brought with me from Inazuma, and I used the scraps to make my entries for the show. I used the larger pieces for the base fabric, and the small— If it worked back then, why not now? We can also repurpose some of the ready-to-use accessories.
But you worked so hard on—
I know. That's why I refuse to let it all go to waste. I'm not going to let them win, even if it takes everything I've ever made and more.
Okay.
No need to be nervous. I won't hold it against you. Of course. If anyone dared to tear up one of my dresses in front of me on a normal day— Just this once, though. I think I can make an exception. Go ahead and tear them up. Think of it as a good way to vent your emotions.
Go!
Good job. That should do it.
Chiori, are you alright? Sorry for taking so long. I got caught up and... Whoa. What happened to your shop? Who did this? Those monsters. Slandering you in the papers wasn't enough for— Give me their names. Since they're all too eager to tear up other people's clothes, I think it's about time the Spina di Rosula—
maybe you should calm down a bit first, cause you see,
huh?
Ugh, what is this, a soap opera? I was the one who asked the traveler to take—
Oh. So that's what—
Navia sure is scary when she's angry.
If there's one thing I can't stand, it's a false accusation. No one's gonna orchestrate some conspiracy to take down one of my friends and get away with it.
You and Chiori are really cool.
Of course! Everyone knows that Chiori makes the most gorgeous outfits in town. All of the Spina di Rosula's formal wear is custom tailored here.
Now, if only you'd give me the contract for your uniforms as well.
As if you'd enjoy designing something as boring and formulaic as a uniform. That's what. Plus, with how much your intel has helped us out in the past, to the Spina, you're more of an intelligence agency than a fashion boutique.
If I had it my way, it would be the other way around.
Anyway, we both know why I'm here. Tell me.
If it's not too much trouble, can I borrow some skilled hands to help with some simple sewing work? I'll need all the help I can get if—
Oh, no problem. I've got a few of those guys all ready to go. When are you going to get started? I can help with sewing too.
Actually, there's something else.
Ask away.
Oh, and Traveler and Paimon, could you help me pass word?
I'm done with my interview. Has Miss Chiori made it back yet? Who did this? Give me names. I'll make sure every last one lands a full feature on the front page of the Steambird tomorrow.
Not this again.
A moment later and you'd have missed us.
We read the article in the papers. We were just about to go find Miss Chiori. She helped design a number of our costumes in the past and even sponsored one of our performances. The time has come, it seems, for us to return the favor.
Oh, perfect! She was the one who sent us!
In that case, I assume that there's something we can do to help?
Okay, so it's like this.
Is that all we'll need to do?
Should be a piece of cake for the two of us.
Paimon's glad to hear it! Well then, guess it's about time we go and find some evidence for all the bad stuff Utera's been doing, right? Chiori said we shouldn't disturb her over the next couple of days.
But the show's in another 2 days, isn't it?
Well, according to her, she wants to first beat Utera fair and square at the show, and then defeat him in the court of public opinion. She said...
A two-pronged approach?
Courtesy first, confrontation second?
Yeah.
Understood. Then we'll have faith in her decision. We'll go make some...
Alright, Okay, then let's all... Oh,
You're here.
Chiori! How are the new outfits?
Just a few steps left now. I've handed the rest over to Elof.
Wow, that's cutting it real close.
Don't worry. I have no intention of giving ground on either front. With the fashion show scheduled for tonight, Uther has closed his factory. This is our only chance to secure...
Okay, Paimon...
His factory is... We're just curious customers after...
Well, when you...
Anyway, Uther's factory is right over there.
Why would he open a factory over there?
We have different marketing strategies. While I specialize in high-end custom garments, he prefers low prices and...
Alright. It's really...
You make a good point.
We're in. There really is nobody here.
Welcome, dear visitors.
Oh, Paimon nearly fell out of the air. What is that thing?
A mechanical guide. They usually use a recorded tape to give you a tour of the factory.
Please, follow me, dear guests. First stop on our tour is a look at the gradual evolution of our clothing brand. After that, we welcome you to peruse our most popular styles.
Huh. Uther seems to be doing pretty well for himself, doesn't he? Why would he feel the need to bother you when he could just focus on improving his own brand?
This is the studio where our designs are made. Please. These are the fitting rooms. Please use them at your leisure.
Huh? There seems to be something in this fitting room. Why did the door just close?
Hold on tight, Paimon.
Ah! Why is it moving?
It seems to have stopped.
Where did this thing take us?
Seems like we're someplace deeper inside the factory.
Look out! There are guards here!
Gotcha. Quietly.
I will have order.
Inazuma shines eternal! Everlasting as the moon! Transfixed!
This place is filthy! Are the clothes from Uter's shop serious?
Look over there.
Ugh! That water...
And I was the one using unsafe.
So he was actually the one who opened an underground factory.
No wonder his clothes always felt weird to the touch. He's been using all manner of tricks here in a bid to cut costs.
Should the clothes made here even be worn?
Never mind issues with shrinking and fading. These materials can give you...
That's terrifying! Let's... This way he won't be able to try and deny anything and... Doesn't look like there's a path here.
Follow me. Let's go up.
This place seems like some kind of warehouse. Ugh, and it stinks too. Huh? What's going on? Our way in's been blocked.
Seems like he knew we'd be coming.
You did say he knew you really well, didn't you?
Yes. And that's because...
But you're practically at each other's throats!
when I first came to Fontaine, we were both fledgling designers who longed to gain a foothold in the world of fashion. In the beginning, we both wanted to make clothes that would stand out from the crowd and shatter tradition. But with every criticism we received, and every sponsor that rejected us, finally, right before Fashion Week, he came to the conclusion that we wouldn't be able to make the designs we always dreamed of. For my part, I gambled it all and devoted everything I had to that 1 week. I came out the other side with something that really made me proud.
You received the acclaim of all Fontaine while...
I don't know the exact details of what happened after that. All I know is, after I opened Chiyoria Boutique...
He's just jealous of what you've accomplished. A guy like...
Well, let's focus on getting out of here first. Missing the show is as good as letting him win.
There are some control panels... Oh, that doesn't seem to have done anything.
Warning. Warning. Unauthorized intruders. Entering expulsion mode.
Shine Shine down!
Order guide you.
Warning. Unauthorized intruders entering expulsion mode.
Look over there. Seems like there's a way out. Maybe we can use these mechanisms to get higher.
Warning. Unauthorized intruders entering expulsion mode. Warning. Unauthorized intruders entering expulsion mode.
We finally made it out. Why does it feel like the movement patterns of those mechs have changed?
Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure. Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure.
You picked the wrong fight!
Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure. Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure. Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure. Warning. Unauthorized intruders initiating shutdown procedure.
We're finally out of that stinky place. Let's take this evidence and get out of here. Finally, the entrance. At last.
Oh, those chambers couldn't hold you, I see.
We've collected a bunch of evidence on all the nasty stuff happening at your...
The evidence on your person, you mean? What makes you think I have any intention of letting it get past these walls?
More mechanical guards? Really? Ever thought about using these funds for a legitimate purpose?
Oh, but this is a legitimate purpose.
What? Destroying Chioria Boutique? Or continuing to make your rotten rag?
Proving that fashion is merely a laughable farce. A carnival of ignorance!
You know what your problem is, Uter? You've become so obsessed with the concept of fashion itself that you let it paralyze.
Spare me the lecture, why don't you? Sooner or later, you'll cater to all the voices too, you know. After all, what is fashion?
Fashion is about aspiring towards a certain ideal. But it's up to you to decide what it is.
Well, once the people witness their former darling's spectacular fall, they'll understand.
That's what you've been trying to prove all this time? Your jaded understanding of the industry is the reason you've had it out for my brand for. You weren't like this before, Uter.
He realized long ago how utterly naive and ridiculous that dream was.
You gave up on your dream. But that wasn't enough, was it? You had to find a way to prove you think you understand. But you're just a bitter man who let his regrets dictate his choices. You regret giving up on your dream. So you stopped at this whole thing.
Pathetic. Why don't you take a look in the mirror? You're a fool daydreaming about taking all of Teyvat by storm. Well, good luck doing that.
You're right. Maybe all those who pursue, but more pitiful still are cowards who are too afraid to even attempt what the fool is brave enough to try.
You!
Yeah, just leave this guy to us!
No, you go instead.
But he has a gun!
It'll be fine. Just go to the venue and tell everyone to proceed with the plan. I'll deal with him. Some lessons.
Catch up with us soon!
Trying to leave, are we?
I've held back all this time because of our past partnership, Uter. But all that changed after our tour of your factory.
Still trying.
No matter what you've been through, no matter why you've become like this, if I may borrow the words of a friend, a guy like you doesn't deserve my sympathy. Allow me to show you. The Chioria brand represents more than a person or a trademark. It's a way of life.
Greetings, friends at Fontaine Fashion Week. Please feast your eyes on the extravaganza that Chioria Boutique has prepared for you today.
Brilliant, dazzling, and wholly unique. And most importantly,
an enduring, never-say-die spirit. That's the true meaning of the Chioria brand. And now, let's welcome the thundering seamstress, Miss Chiori herself!
Did Chiori not...
Lights! Cameras! Over here, please!
Let the show begin!
The world may change, fashion along with it, but Chioria will remain the same. No challenge is too great. Chioria caters to no one. Not even the times. Rather, Chioria will always lead the fashion of our time. Finally, let's not forget. Only those who do not give up on their dreams are worthy of this brand. Well then, I suppose all that's left to say is, Happy Fashion Week, fellow dreamers.
How about this?
A little more to the left.
Like this?
Perfect.
Phew. Oh, that looks great! Miss Chiori, can I take a picture?
Of course.
I didn't know you'd make a brand new signboard.
I made it before Fashion Week. I figured it'd be better.
Well, how can you become renowned through all of Teyvat without a fancy...
Now that you mention it, perhaps our magic troupe could use one of those.
Our signatures are the Grinmalkin cat and the Bogglecat box. Oh, and we need to add Pear as well.
Pear would need an alias, of course. How about... the Hangry Bird.
So, does that mean your signboard is going to be 2 cats and a penguin stuffed into a single hat.
Ooh, that sounds super snuggly and warm. And a bit cramped.
Miss Chiori, I'm done taking pictures. You can expect the article in tomorrow's...
Thank you, Charlotte.
It's my pleasure. Bringing the truth to light is a journalist's duty.
Going forward, feel free to custom order any accessories you need for Monsieur Verite.
Huh? You really mean it?
Of course. The same goes for you too, Linny and Lynette. If you have need of any costumes in the future, just drop me a note.
What about something other than a costume?
Thank you, Chiori. It's much appreciated.
Well, I don't really need anything. Just don't be a stranger, all right?
I don't need anything either. So long as you continue to request my international courier services from Komania Express, we're golden.
Actually, that reminds me. When will you be leaving, Kirara?
Huh? About that.
The Spina di Rosula has prepared a special vehicle for you, so you can just get in and we'll push it all the way out of Fontaine.
What? No, that's so embarrassing.
Ooh, do we get something nice too, Chiori?
Of course. Just hold on a second.
Disrupting public order at the show, appropriating venue lighting equipment without authorization, using weaponry in public, hosting a dangerous performance without notifying the authorities.
Chevroz, we can explain!
If you come across anyone who matches those descriptions, please report them to the Special Patrol at your earliest convenience.
Enjoyed that, didn't you? You nearly scared me half to death.
Says the one who pulled that stunt earlier. How about you do me a favor and tell me in advance next time you're planning something like that?
And if I had, would you have approved?
No, but it would have at least spared me a whole lot of anxiety.
Well, I would say I more than made it up to you, have I not? A whole underground workshop in the Fleuve Cendre, and the man responsible all tied up and handed to you.
All right, I won't argue with you. You can...
Well, friends, I would say we've earned ourselves a nice meal for...
I'll have to take a rain check. I've still got a lot of paperwork to take care of, so you all go have fun. Oh, by the way, Chiori, I ran into Vanger on the way here. He had a
I don't need to hear it. I'm sure the old fool used pretty much every apology in the book. I'll just...
You know him well.
Thanks again, Chevroz.
My pleasure. Oh, and one last thing. That was really quite an amazing show.
You don't say.
All right. Follow me if you want in on the celebration feast.
Traveler, Paimon, could you go wait for me at that place with the view? I'll let Navia know that we'll be a little late.
A place with a view?
Perfect. I'll be right there. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Oh, we didn't wait long at all. But what did you want to give us that you couldn't share right in front of everyone else?
Here, take this.
Oh, wow! A brooch! And in the style of Chioria Boutique, too! Wait, Paimon gets one as...
I've only made 2 for now. After much consideration, you've been a great help. Even when things were looking bleak, you stayed by my side. There were even times when I felt like I had to fight back and win. Even if it was just to honor the trust that you had in me.
Well, we may have helped a little, but Paimon would say you deserve most of the credit. This result, it was all you, Chiori.
I know for certain that was not the case. I've chased my dream for so long that I've come to understand something. Apart from conviction and persistence, the thing that matters most is having friends who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. A single person can only do so much. Without all your help, Chioria Boutique could have easily fallen to ruin.
Well, Paimon doesn't think it would have ever gotten to that point. Not if you had anything to say about it.
Perhaps my words were a little pretentious, but they do reflect how I truly feel. I won't I'm confident in the quality of my work. Create something beautiful, and there will always be people who appreciate it.
Well, guess there's nothing to worry about then. Should we go back and join them at the victory feast?
Oh, yes, of course. But you know, of all the nights I've spent in Font...
Wow, the academia sure is busy during the day. But where should we go looking for people that we know?
Traveler, Paimon.
Sino! It's been so long since we last saw you!
As do you. You don't seem wary at all from your travels. If so, what brings you back here?
Oh, nothing in particular. Paimon just saw a really big...
Funnily enough, we were reminiscing about you recently too. It was at a group dinner.
Really? You were thinking of us too? What a coincidence!
Indeed. Or as I call it. You really want me to say the rest? Okay. It's always rice to meet Stu again.
Oh, darn, he said it.
You like that one, huh? You must if you remember it after all this time.
Alright. Here's your 500 mora.
You're exaggerating. It's only 500 mora.
Hey, 500 mora is still a lot of snacks to Paimon.
All right. I'll treat you to some desserts later. Anyway, I'm actually investigating a case right now. My mind is focused on work, which is why I didn't complete the joke at first.
A case? What happened?
Nothing major. But after finding out who was involved, I decided, on reflection, to handle this one myself.
Need any help? We only came here to hang out, so we've got the time. You may as well take us with you, and then when you're done, we can, you know...
Such enthusiasm. Are you worried I'll forget about treating you to some sweets if you're not around to remind me?
What? No! Alright, was it really that obvious?
Obvious enough. Still, it's a fine idea. You are the heroes of Sumeru. It makes perfect sense to work together. All right, follow me.
Staring into my eyes is ill-advised. I can't promise you'll like what you see.
Do you see him? The old man flailing around?
Oh, is he the one you wanted to talk to about the case?
Correct. His name is Cyrus, a former Spontamod sage. He taught both me and Lisa.
Huh? Sino's teacher is in trouble?
It's ridiculous. I'm just an old man who enjoys a spot of gardening, shopping, and wine. What sort of person targets an old retiree?
Professor, I've brought some friends.
Ah, Sino. Now who do we have here? Hold on, let me think. My goodness. You must be the legend.
Wow, looks like we're really famous.
I've told him about you before. That's right. Let me sum. A couple of days ago, Professor Cyrus suddenly received a threat letter.
A threat letter?
Exactly. Who sends a threat letter?
This is the letter in question.
Cyrus, I have uncovered your secret. If you wish to prevent it from going public, secondly, don't come looking for me. You'll never find me. But I will always be watching. Wow, they sure didn't mince their words.
Clearly, this person must be desperate for Mora.
10 million Mora. What? I'm just a single retiree with nothing to my name beyond the tomatoes in my garden. Where do people think I'm hiding 10 million Mora, huh?
There were no witnesses, so currently the letter is all we've got. So, Traveler?
Paimon's ready too.
All right, take a look. Very good. The paper has a rather rough texture.
Another thing is, some of these strokes look kind of...
Possibly. And I bet the paper has something to...
Most of the paper around here is much smoother than this, and the ink is absorbed quickly so it doesn't run. This paper, meanwhile, it's...
It's certainly not the same paper as we use in the academia, but the ink is nothing special. Just
So do we think the culprit has a connection with the academia or not? Wait, check this out! Looks like this part got wet at some point.
Agreed.
A colored liquid, so...
Looks like we're thinking along similar lines. Let's go...
Ah, there he is.
Mahamatra Sino. Sir Cyrus. Ah, and the Traveler and Paimon. It's been a while.
As such, I'm inclined to believe that the culprit in this case is a student at the academia. Somebody young and strapped for cash. Oh, one last thing.
Oh, of course! You think the culprit spilled their coffee on the letter, huh?
They do look like coffee stains to me. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the letter is written on a...
Ah, of course! Yes, like they sell in the gift shops. I remember now. Zahaha...
Understood. I'll assemble a team to investigate...
You have my gratitude.
One last thing. Send some Matra to guard the entrances and exits of Sumeru City. And change into plain clothes. Don't let them see you coming.
Will do.
Great thinking, Sino. So, yeah, they've probably been lying low at...
You're right, Paimon.
Really?
The culprits approach. Whatever happens, they need this Mora. But just because they warned Professor Cyrus not to go to the Matra, doesn't mean they know what he'll do next. So, like you said, they need to wait and see. And crucially, the culprits said they'd be watching the Professor's every move.
Huh? Wait, are you saying...
Found you! You wrote the threat letter.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I sensed someone was watching us from the shadows the moment we entered the House of Dana. You managed to stay relatively well hidden for someone reckless enough to threaten. There are a lot of people here, but we were looking specifically for Arav. Whoever followed us the whole way was likely to be the culprit.
I was just listening in, that's all. You know something big's going down when Mahamad...
You smiled when Arav left.
Is smiling a crime now?
There are coffee stains on the letter. You mixed some coffee with water, gently smeared it onto the paper, then wiped it off with a wet cloth. All to create the impression that the letter was written at a cafe. Closing off the exits to the city doesn't affect you, because you already live here. And as long as the Matra were focused on the cafes, you would be free from scrutiny. The cafe was a red herring all along. You had to be somewhere where you could monitor the professor's movements.
You can't pin this on me! I haven't done anything!
Really? Then why are you shaking like a leaf? The innocent have no reason to fear the Matra. Your heart's racing, and your eyelids are twitching. You're a terrible lot.
I would never...
Don't try anything or you'll pay the price.
Well, that was over quick.
You're telling me. 1 minute I go out for a quick smoke, the next minute I see Arav already on his way back to meet up with Sino. Looked like a young guy, too. Couldn't have been much more than 30. But after what he's done, I'm afraid he's ruined his whole future.
Everyone, it's all over.
Gosh, that was so fast!
The culprit's name is Uraka, a 16-year-old student in the Rataoist Darshan.
Huh?
16? Cyrus thought he looked 30-something!
We checked his records. He's 16, a third.
But he looks so old.
Yeah, serious.
Foolish child. He's too young for the criminal life. What the devil drove him down there?
We questioned the culprit regarding his motive.
Oh, just spit it out.
Very well. It's our understanding that Araka is a mediocre student who has been underperforming in his classes. He started taking extra tutoring to improve his grades, but developed a gambling habit around the same time and lost a lot of Mora. Down on his luck, he went to the tavern for a drink and overheard some people chatting about Sir Cyrus's comfortable retirement. They mentioned that he's always arguing about his tomato plants with some old woman on the street.
Some old woman on the street? Goodness gracious. Has that rascal attended a single one of his classes? That old woman is Kasharwar's very own professor, Zaha Hadi. How can he not know who Zaha Hadi is?
Is this going somewhere?
Oh, right, yes. So another thing. We don't just argue about tomato plants. And what are they trying to insinuate by comfortable retirement? A man grows a few vegetables and suddenly he's living a life of luxury?
Maybe it's more the fact that you have the time to grow vegetables in the
Araka mentioned he'd heard a rumor, alleging that Sir Cyrus illegally obtained a large sum of money from the desert before retiring, and kept it for himself instead of reporting it to... Araka believes this money to be the reason why Sir Cyrus hasn't kept up with any academic research or other projects since his retirement. And given your...
Oh, Araka. I'm at a loss for words. I'm so angry I don't know where to start.
People make up rumors all the time. I am quite confident that Professor Cyrus has never embezzled a Mora in his life.
Arav, you'll have to find some excuse to interrogate Araka again later. I need you to deliver a few firm fistfuls to him on my behalf.
I completely understand how you feel, Sir Cyrus.
Professor.
Oh, come on. I was clearly joking.
Okay.
The Academia will determine the appropriate disciplinary action against the student.
Who said I'm obsessed with some old woman on the street? Mind your wording or you'll start a whole new rumor. You seem confused. Oh, don't you understand? Uraka is just a young boy who made a very rash and very stupid decision based on some groundless rumor. All it costs me is a little reputational damage.
Please rest assured, Professor, that the Academia will issue a fair and reasonable punishment.
Yes, I have no doubt about that. But as a former educator, I'd still like to have a serious conversation with the boy's parents. The family lives in the city, yes?
Correct.
We looked into the family. Both parents are merchants, and they're often away on business.
Oh, what a mess. You don't have to seal the evidence away yet, do you? I'd like to have that letter back for the time being, if possible. We have to show them how serious this situation is.
The relevant authorities have already reviewed the evidence and are now discussing Araka's punishment. You can hold on to the letter for now. Just make sure to
Oh, so you'll be able to
Give or take. Cases like this are quick to resolve.
Very good. Well, thank you for all...
My apologies, Sir Cyrus, but I have a prior commitment.
Ah, I see. Well, that's a... and isn't Tainari in town at the moment?
Wait, you mean Tainari's in the city?
He is. Tainari's master, Sir Nephis, called him and Kale to the academia to help out on a project. They should be at Nephis's office at this hour, though I must say, I'm surprised you're extending an invitation to Tainari. Did you do...
Don't be outrageous. Nephis offends me all the time. It's never the other. Anyway, hurry up and fetch Tainari. I'll head over to the... go on now. Not to brag, but it was students at the time.
I was out in the forest at least 4 days a week back then, thanks to a colossal workload from Most of what I know, I heard from Sino after the fact.
Professor's become a lot more laid back in his retirement.
Wow. It's hard enough to stay true to your
It's a pity Kale wasn't around at the time.
And then we'd have one more person who has to address Lisa as upper...
Really? Can't you just call her Lisa? She seems to prefer it when people treat her like an older sister.
Oh, believe me, back when she was a student, nothing made her happier than the younger students acknowledging her senior...
Whoa, more food? Are you sure about this? We don't want to take advantage.
Oh, don't worry about it. Order whatever you like. And if...
I thought I heard some familiar voices. And Sir Cyrus is...
Oh, Kaveh, it's been a while. Zahahadi was talking about you last month. How have you been?
I've been all right, thank you. You're looking very well, sir. I'm glad to see it.
Have you eaten yet? Care to join us?
That's awfully kind of you, but I had a late lunch, so I'm not really hungry just yet. I'll have dinner a little bit later tonight. I just came to Lombard's to buy some wine, and when I heard some voices I recognized, I thought I'd come and say hello. So what's the occasion, anyway?
Consolation, more like.
Sounds like things have really gone downhill since I was there. My whole time as a student, I've never heard of anything remotely like that.
I can't believe how young the guy is. What are his parents going to think?
Young people are always more susceptible to making rash and ill-advised decisions. Their minds are still developing. It's just an unfortunate fact of life. But still, this boy has some nerve. Just look at what he wrote. Oh, it makes my blood boil.
Wow, yeah. Jeez.
I will always be watching you and all of your secrets. And then he just followed you into the House of Dana?
If this were my son, he'd get the scolding of a lifetime.
Luckily, I'm also an extremely principled person.
Kaveh! Your order's ready, sir!
Coming. I'll have to get going. Have a nice...
Okay, bye-bye!
Here I am. The coffee beans are in here too.
Yep, it's all there. I'll stop babbling away now. Let's eat before the food gets cold.
chew taste.
Oh, mine too. I'll...
Thanks for dinner, Sir Cyrus. Master Ty.
Well, I look forward to that. In fact, could I try?
No problem at all.
I'll see you all later.
Good night, Professor.
Hey, my tomatoes are serious business. Anyway, I'll be leaving now. Don't stay up too late now, children. I bid you all...
Take care, have a...
All right.
What do you mean, us time?
Well, I was talking with Tainari and Kale, and since we all have some...
Camping? Oh, that sounds fun! Paimon's in!
Wait, no! That's my job! Don't take it away from me. Why don't you and Paimon help out Master or Sino? You don't have to play the hero when you're out with us. This is...
Everyone, let's meet tomorrow afternoon at the riverbank to the south. No need to bring anything. We've already...
You got it!
Great. That...
Time to set off! Let's head to the... Wow, you guys are ahead of the game. You set up the tents already.
I'd say we're right about on schedule, actually. We were a...
Traveler, Paimon, let's go fishing together. Whatever we catch, we can grill for dinner tonight.
You got it! Dinner's on us tonight!
I hope I can contribute too. The other Forest Watchers gave me some fishing tips a little while ago. I'm really looking forward to giving...
I saw some very appetizing mushrooms in the area, so I gathered a few for us. I'll leave them here along with some fresh fruit.
Wow, camping with a Forest Watcher is the way to go! They think of everything! And even if they don't, they can improvise!
This is true. I don't think I've ever had a single rough day in this forest.
So, how has everything been going for you?
Well, there's been some high points and low points, but we've had some unforgettable experiences along the way.
I see. Oh, in that case, you should try a Valberry. I bought some from the market this morning.
A valuable suggestion. Just don't bury your feelings using food.
All I wanted was to recommend something bittersweet.
Oh, I have a sudden craving for fruit tea. I'm gonna go fetch some stuff. Bye!
She sure made a run for it.
Unbelievable! She made a run for it!
So Kale chose the path of tactical retreat. My dear friend, you know what I am about to say. Excellent! A kindred spirit. A great warrior can sense when a duel is nigh. But it looks like we'll get told off if we start playing now. Let's enjoy the nature for a while longer.
We got a bite!
I'll reel it in.
Firewood, spices, snacks, and drinks. Everything's ready. Once Kale gets back, we can light up the fire and start grilling. There are 3 tents. Which one do you two want to take?
How about the one on the left? Well, Paimon just thinks the ambiance here is a little better.
True. But it's also the closest to the water. If there are any sleepwalking fungi around tonight, they might stumble into your tent.
Well, that's no good. Take my weapon. You can use it to bar the entrance.
Anyone would think you were sealing the gates to King Deshret's mausoleum.
Excellent. Then this tent will be an impenetrable fortress.
I'm back! How's your appetites? Ready for the barbecue? Always. Oh, it smells so good. Paimon's drooling.
Someone sure is desperate to eat. I think it's time to add the seasoning. How do you like your skewers? Well done? Medium? Rare?
Wait, what? Isn't that just for steaks? Hey, if it works for steak, maybe it works for other things too.
Medium well for me.
Okay, these are about ready now then. It'll be a few more minutes for anyone who wants theirs well done.
Oh, that was so delicious. If Paimon's stomach had space, she'd eat 3 more skewers. I ate a lot too. Here comes the food coma.
If you're tired, then go rest.
You must be getting sleepy too, Paimon.
Tonight, I show you mercy. Our sacred duel will take place another day.
Good night. Paimon's struggling to keep her eyes open.
Oh, don't forget this. The Staff of the Scarlet Sands.
Wait, you were actually being serious about that?
It's a very powerful weapon. Try it.
Paimon can't even lift that thing.
Fair enough. You
Yeah, Paimon's sure. We'll be fine. And even if we do...
That reminds me of a parting kick, but right now...
I think they should all be here. Traveler? Paimon?
Look at this.
What the? What's this sword doing here? Is it supposed to keep out intruders?
Evidently.
Huh? Who is... Paimon's gonna take out the sword. Yeah! I'll hate them, Kaveh!
Sorry to wake you up at this hour of the night, but
let's get dressed and talk about it outside.
Something has come up. And since it pertains to Cyrus and Cyno, I deemed it essential to inform you all.
Whoa, back up. Let's start from the beginning. Where'd the wine cups go? Ah, there they are.
I'll have a cup too.
Can you see if the cookies are still on the table?
They are.
Oh, this is so bland. I should have gotten a few bottles of what...
Do tell. What were they drinking?
Oh, right, I forgot to mention. So, I ran into Cyrus yesterday evening when I went to the tavern to pick up some things. He was hosting a dinner for Cyno, Tighnari, Kale, and the Traveler and Paimon. Anyway, they got a bottle of Lombard's new vintage for the table. At least, I think that's what it was. It looked pretty good. You know what it's about, right? 16-year-old kid tried to extort Cyrus. He was asking...
I heard some people talking about it on the streets, yes. Didn't...
I wonder what Sir Nephis and the others will make... Oh, Cyrus showed me the extortion letter, too. It was crudely written, but the... give me a sec, I'll sketch it out for you. Okay, done. Take a look. You see what I mean? I don't think I've ever seen writing paper like this.
Interesting. These are...
What?
Take this, for instance. Looks like an outline of a spire, similar to the kind found on some ancient palaces. It bears a striking resemblance to an ancient emblem.
Whose emblem is it?
It's the emblem of the Temple of Silence.
After discussing it with each other, we both agreed that something didn't feel right. This was a long way to come from the city. Alhaitham figured you were probably with Tighnari, so then, just as we were heading off to the campsite, we ran into Cyno. He said he was on a supply run.
Hold on. So what's the deal with that emblem you were talking about?
Something's up, huh? Give me a second. Let me get...
So you've never heard of the Temple of Silence? Well, these days, you can find a Temple of Silence office in the Academia. Theoretically, it's responsible for the custody and disposal of information and documents not fit for public dissemination. At least, that's what they tell the outside world. In truth, it's essentially a vestigial institution nowadays. There's an office with their name on it, but it's functionally obsolete. Historically speaking, the original Temple of Silence is said to have been established by Hermanubis, one of the 7 pillars of King Deshret and the greatest of all sages. Most of the organizations, by contrast, none of the Academia Temple's current members are from the desert region, nor do they use any symbols connected with the desert folk.
So the Temple of Silence at the Academia is just a fake? Wow.
It's possible. The real question is, why? My guess is they're covering something up.
So, how do you know all this? Sounds like some pretty top secret stuff.
Did you forget? He did a stint as acting Grand Sage, and kept the pay raise even after he resigned.
Oh, yeah! Paimon did totally forget about that. So you took the chance to read all the top secret documents while you were acting Grand Sage, huh?
If you're asking me whether I familiarized myself with the documentation in my office, I would respond that that's a perfectly normal part of any job.
So much about this doesn't make sense. Why did the emblem of the Temple of Silence appear on a threat letter from an Academia student to Cyrus? The student's only 16, and doesn't have any family ties to the desert. So where could he have seen that emblem, or gotten the paper?
You said you ran into Cyno, yes? Did you tell him what you've just told us?
Yep. He ran off as soon as he heard what we said.
Given that Cyrus is involved, he's probably halfway through solving the case by now. Still, we should try to catch up with him.
If the Academia's Temple of Silence really does exist just to cover up the truth, we should pay a visit to the Academia.
Yes. As the Sage of Amorta, My master ought to know the truth about their office.
If this situation is connected to the real Temple of Silence...
Kale, could I trouble you to send a message to the Core of 30? Tell them to keep an eye out for Cyno and Cyrus. Traveler, Paimon, you two come with me. We'll go after Cyno.
Sounds like a plan. Let's go.
Cyrus has been living in the city lately. He rented a place near the field so he can keep an eye on his tomato plants.
Then let's go look for him there.
Navigating the world is a whole lot easier with a few different identities to choose from. Need me to come up with some for you?
Here we are. This is the place.
We might be too late. Looks like nobody's home. Oh, Cyno moves fast. If he was here, he's probably long gone by now.
I know that voice. Is that Tainari I hear?
Ah! Professor Zaha Hadid!
Wow, so it really is you. My goodness, whatever is going on tonight?
We're looking for Cyno. So, he's already been here.
Yes, not long ago, in fact. He knocked on my door and asked if I'd seen Cyrus today at all. I told him the old fool left early this morning, and I hadn't heard him come back. So we went to his place, and would you believe it? He's gone. Goodness knows where to. It must have alarmed Cyno, because he took off in an awful hurry after that. He never did explain what this was all about. How serious is it?
Well, if Cyrus isn't at home... Oh, it sure doesn't sound good.
Professor, did you hear that a student recently tried to extort Cyrus?
Why, yes. When I left the house that day, I noticed he was watering his flowers in the field in complete silence. He had a piece of paper clutched in his hand, and he looked lost in thought. I could tell something was troubling him, but he wouldn't tell me what it was. If Cyno hadn't happened to visit him that day, he'd probably still be holding on to that thing. After seeing the letter, Cyno told him to contact the Core of 30, but Cyrus was very reluctant. He claimed it would only damage his reputation. Eventually, he relented, after much persuasion from Cyno.
Huh? Cyrus didn't want to report it? Well, that's strange. When we saw him, he seemed pretty okay with the idea of the kid getting his just desserts.
As a former sage, it's possible Cyrus still has enemies at the Academia. That's why Cyno was so insistent that he report the matter to the authorities. I was there.
So Cyrus initially hoped to stop...
Oh, dear. What on earth has that old fool gotten himself wrapped up in? Oh, I almost forgot.
Thank you.
What does it say? Let Paimon My friend...
Yep, that sounds like Cyno. Thank you, Traveler, Paimon. Let's head to the Academia and regroup.
Take it easy.
You're here? I thought you were going after... Ah, I guess you lost their trail.
We went to Cyrus's house. No one was there. Cyno got there before us, but he was long gone by the time we arrived.
He didn't say where he was going?
No, he left us a letter and told us not to go after him.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Typical Cyno. Anyway, some updates on progress on our end. I drew the emblem from memory again, but in more detail this time.
I checked some ancient texts for a similar design. The one I found was a little blurry, but the similarities in the general form and certain details were clear enough to confirm a match.
Yeah, and we're lucky we found anything at all. It turns out the emblem was all but lost to history. We scoured the entire Academia collection, and that book was the only one with a record of the motif.
Meanwhile, Arav managed to get Uraka to disclose his source. The one who told him about Cyrus's embezzled funds was a young man from the desert. According to Uraka, he had a striking presence and was well educated.
Apparently, the two met in the tavern over a game of cards. The guy claimed to be in the city for business as part of a merchant caravan. Uraka was intrigued when he heard what his new acquaintance had to say, and brought up the idea of extorting Cyrus for Mora. The guy encouraged him to go ahead with it, then handed him some pen and paper to write the letter.
I see. So it could be that this person planted the paper intentionally.
So, how do we find this guy? Did Uraka say where he is?
He doesn't know. He claims not to have seen him since that day in the tavern. The man gave him some tips on how to carry out the extortion, but from then on, Uraka was acting alone.
Nephis and Arav have gone to meet the Core of 30 and review the city's entry and exit records. Also, Nephis admitted that the Temple of Silence in the Academia is just a facade. The true Temple of Silence once came to the rainforest to establish a collaboration with the Academia, but as time went by, the sages gradually became corrupt and foolish. The Temple of Silence felt that they could no longer trust the Academia and ended the partnership. They retreated back to the desert about 400 years ago. Ever since its inception, the Temple of Silence has been the guardians of King Deshret's civilization and belief system. They traveled throughout Sumeru, sequestering and guarding any wisdom that posed a threat to the people's livelihoods. At its roots, it was a legitimate and reputable organization whose purpose was to guide people towards the right path.
The Academia of the day knew that the split would damage their reputation if it became a matter of public knowledge. And so, they set up a dummy organization of their own to conceal the truth.
Not only that, but they managed to keep up the charade for hundreds of years!
So how did Cyrus become acquainted with the true Temple of Silence if they left centuries ago?
I'll bet that's the question that bothered Cyno. Probably why he went after him in such a rush.
Whoever is behind this, getting Uraka to extort Cyrus was only the first step of the plan. Their true goal in doing so was for Cyrus to see the emblem on the letter.
He must have recognized it right away. That'll be why he didn't want to involve the authorities. He probably hoped to take care of the whole thing by himself. Unfortunately for him, Cyno had other plans.
Since the desert is where the Temple of Silence originated, that is in all likelihood where Cyrus went.
I have to go after him.
Really? Are you sure that's a good idea, with how you respond to the heat? Why don't we send someone else?
I should be fine, as long as I bring plenty of water. Besides, I just can't shake this ominous feeling that if we don't catch up to them soon...
Everyone, I have news from the Core of 30.
Master!
Oh, so that's Nefis, Tighnari's master? Oh.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Traveler and Paimon. Several independent eyewitnesses have reported seeing Cyrus and Mahamatra Cyno leaving the city at different times. Both were heading in the direction of Caravan Reap. I was going to suggest that you join forces with the Core of 30 in this case. However, as I'm sure you've already heard from Alhaitham and Kaveh, the Temple of Silence is involved. The Academia has made a number of decisions throughout history that I am ashamed to talk about. It may well be that no better choice was available to them, but those actions are nonetheless a stain on our legacy. I won't attempt to make you understand the Academia's perspective. Now is the time for action.
I understand where you're coming from, Master, but I'm afraid...
Good point. If Cyrus is involved with the other side, or worse, if he's fallen into their hands... Everyone, we have to get Cyrus and Cyno back.
Need our help? Whatever you need.
Really? Wonderful. You have my most sincere gratitude. Arav and I will continue to follow up on the lead from Uraka. Kaveh, Scribe Alhaitham, I'd like to ask you to cover the duties of the House Tighnari. You are planning to go into the desert.
I am. Kaveh, I'll be okay. You...
Well, if you're sure... Okay. But be careful.
Thank you all. Arav, let's go.
You'd better get moving. Don't forget to ask for help when you need it.
Will do. Let's go, Tighnari. Hopefully we can catch up with Cyno before...
Knowing him, he's probably covered a fair distance already, but we...
Okay, we made it to Caravan Ribat. Where should we go next? Maybe we should ask the nearby guards if they've seen anything.
Hold on. Look over...
Is that Dia?
You sure you want to brave the desert alone?
It's not my first time. I'll be fine.
Sino.
If you're really going to go through with this, then at least take our advice. When you're packing for your trip, budget for 5 days more than you plan to spend.
Makes sense. Okay.
Thought we might find you here. You're trying to retrace Cyrus's steps, aren't you?
Didn't I tell you not to come after me? I thought I had a good lead on you.
Well, sorry, but we never agreed to that. Why would you go off on your own like this?
Nothing personal. It's just a complex situation. And I'd rather not involve anyone else if I can help it.
Takes a special kind of person to get Sino chasing them all the way out to Caravan Rebot. But why so coy today, huh? You only gave us his age and description. Why can't you reveal his name? Is he... Oh, also, hey guys, it's been a while.
Dia and Candace! So nice to see...
You're looking well. Glad to see it. Candace and I came to Caravan Rebot on business. We ran into... Some people say they saw him. Guess he stood out as an older guy heading into the desert alone. That's gotta be one heck of a story there.
Sino, it's okay if you can't tell us anything about the case. We're here to help however you need. The more people we have working on this...
No, it's not that simple. If I'm right, he'll be doing everything he can to...
We spoke with Zaha Hadid. From what she said, it's pretty clear that he wants to try and solve this on his own. It won't be easy trying to find...
Sounds like this is far more...
Still, if he started from Caravan Rebot...
My thanks to you both. Once this is resolved, I will find a way to...
Come on. No need to get all serious.
That's a deal.
All right. So, you all set?
Yes, we'll handle it from here. Thank you.
All right. Then we'll leave you to it. Just remember...
And don't think you'd be imposing.
Don't worry, we'll keep him out of trouble.
Hold on. There's a few things I'd like to clear up. So, after you left the camp...
Clearly, we've only scratched the surface of the Temple of Silence question. It doesn't surprise me at all that the one in the Academia is a fake.
Do you have any connection with the Temple of...
I do. I trust you're all aware of the spirit that gives me my power. Hermanubis, the original founder of the Temple of Silence. Due to my unique constitution, I was put through a number of trials in the desert when I was younger. Later, I met the professor, but my memory of that time is hazy. I can't recall much. It's a good thing that Kaveh noticed the emblem on the letter. Without that, I don't know if we would have connected the dot. I did not recognize that symbol at all. Whether that's because I've never seen it.
Yeah, you're right. Thank goodness for Kaveh. And...
But Cyrus must have recognized it right away, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have had any qualms about you reporting it. Oh, maybe his connection to the Temple of Silence goes even deeper than yours.
I suspect so too. Professor has never once mentioned the Temple of Silence in conversation. And whenever the conversation turns to Hermanubis and the concept of spirit indwelling, he avoids going into...
Well, speaking of avoiding things, you do realize, don't you, now that we've caught up with...
I am, or rather, I don't see how I could manage to ditch you en route. So?
That's right. Fact is, we're coming with you.
Fair enough. Then at least let...
Works for me. All right, off we go. Let's start by seeing what the guards here can tell us.
Hello.
Mahamatra Sino?
I'm looking for someone. So I'd like to confirm any recent foot traffic in and out of Aru Village.
A man matching that description passed by Aru Village not too long ago. He stopped by to load up on food and water and feed his sumpter beast, then he was on his way.
Where was he going?
Let me think. He took a seat by the entrance of the village for a while and had a brief chat with the person who came to deliver the water. He said he was headed somewhere near an oasis, but he didn't mention which one. Do you have a map? I can mark out the direction he was heading and the best routes to any nearby oases.
I have one. Mark away.
Great. There you go.
Thank you so much. You were a great help.
You've got a really good memory.
Ah, you're quite welcome. Just doing my job. Best of luck. I hope you find him soon.
Gotcha.
Take it easy.
Hold on.
Do you think it's safe to ask?
Should be. I'll go.
No. I'll do it.
Huh? Why can't Sino go down?
Given my background, appearance, and the...
Ah, hello there.
Oh, a missing person, huh? Sure. What do you want to...
I'm just wondering if you've seen him.
So, a silver-haired guy in a long robe, culture type with thoughtful...
He'd stand out like a sore thumb around here.
Yeah, sounds like the kind of guy we'd remember if we...
He's looking behind me.
Uh-oh.
Your friend over there stands out a lot, too. Hey! Aren't you Sino, the General Mahamatra?
Yes, that's me.
You don't seem surprised that I recognized you.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, you're the one looking for the old man.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Someone's on edge. You don't trust me much, do you? No need to hide it. I understand why you're wary of us.
I thought you were a group of merchants.
Your henchmen don't look like much. But something tells me they put up a better...
Hey! Hear that, guys? You're my henchmen now.
Suits me. As long as I get paid for it.
Just cut to the chase already.
All right. Come with me. All of you. Don't you want to find your friend? Silver-haired, long-robed, culture type with thoughtful eyes?
So you know where he is?
Just follow me. I'll take you to him. In. Please step back.
Ooh, something's coming out of the ground!
What is this enormous building doing here?
And how was it so well hidden?
Wait, so...
Is this the
All good questions. There'll be plenty of time to address them.
This is not what Paimon was expecting to find in the desert, especially not hidden right next to an oasis. Oh, Paimon's scared. They must have kidnapped Cyrus. Do you think this is the guy Raka met?
What's wrong? Thinking about your professor?
I just hope for your sake you haven't done anything you might...
Me too. Hope I haven't done anything to incur your wrath.
Take it easy.
All right. You can wait here for now. I'll inform our leader that you've arrived at the Temple of Silence.
So he's just gonna leave us here?
They can't have been at the oasis by chance. They were waiting for us.
So this is the Temple of Silence. After leaving the rainforest, they hid themselves here?
Hey, look! That guy's coming back.
Don't worry. Someone will come and call for you soon.
What's your name?
Sorry, guess I was. My name is Sethos. I'll be here if you need me, but I'm not planning on answering all of your questions.
So we're free to explore by ourselves?
Yep. I mean, Cyrus is here. And unless I've misunderstood...
He's right. Well...
Hey, Sethos!
Sure. Although, I'm assuming by chat, you mean you have questions for me? Not often. The Temple of Silence is a place of quiet and solitude. We don't get too many... What kind of question is that?
Right, but back at the oasis, you can't have known who he was for sure, or you wouldn't have asked him, so...
I've lived in the desert my whole life. Guess you could say...
Ugh, why does Paimon feel like this guy's not being straight with us?
Come on. We've only just met... Yes, that was me. Although, tricked is a stretch. He was asking... He insisted that nothing was off the table, even if it broke the law. So, I told him...
So you framed Cyrus for a crime that he did not commit?
No. That's not entirely true. Let me jog your memory. The letter just said that he had uncovered Cyrus's... Of course. Raka was a great accomplice, really. Very cooperative with a little bit of wine in him. Did exactly what he was told. And not much of an original thing.
Why did Cyrus leave for the desert as soon as he received the letter?
You'll have to ask him that one yourself. Certain thing, all you need to know is that he recognized our emblem. And it was his own choice to... Nope.
Really?
I have no need to go there. Not when the taverns are full of the Urakas of this world. Spies? It's not as clandestine as that. The city... Mm-hmm.
I never never imagined that the true Temple of Silence would be hidden somewhere like this. We've passed through these parts.
That's King Deshret's technology for you, I guess. It borders on the miraculous.
We should be wary of our hosts.
Ah, here he is. Grandfather, the person you wish to see is here.
Well done, Sethos. Greetings, one and all. I am Ba Moon, the current leader of the
Professor!
Cyrus, are you okay?
Ah!
Watch what you're doing!
Oh, my apologies. We have no intention of causing you distress. But you must understand, Cyrus owes me his life. And to the Temple of Silence, he owes a debt of gratitude. I let him go along.
I wanted to end my feud with this old bag of bones before you caught up with me. Just leave, Sino. This is a matter but...
So that's why you didn't want to report the letter. You'd made up your mind to come here from the beginning. You only left.
Some things in life catch up with you. No matter what you do. You shouldn't have come. Let alone brought the others.
Sino didn't make us do anything. We came here for the same reason he did. To rescue you. We'd appreciate you telling us the truth. Otherwise, it seems a little unfair on everyone who had to stay behind.
My secrets are secret for good reason. Bringing them to light can only lead to misfortune.
You're afraid, aren't you? You can't bring yourself to speak of your past deeds to the students you nurtured as if they were your own children. You recognized our emblem because for many years you lived among us. Indeed, you all but became one of us. You knew as soon as you saw the letter that we, not Uraka, were the ones speaking to you. It threatened you only because you know what you did. Your own guilt convicted you. For you, Cyrus, are a traitor. You once shared your learning with us, and joined us in our mission to revive the might of Hermanubis, to bring new hope, new opportunity. But then, you betrayed us. You bargained for your independence with your past contributions. And then you left, taking with you Hermanubis' might and the wielder of his power. We both know what I said to you that day. That as the leader, I grant you permission to leave, but that one day, the sands of time will catch up with you. And when that day comes, you must pay the price you owe.
You really know how to hold a grudge.
Hermanubis' might? And the wielder of his power?
Does he mean you?
Professor, anything to say?
The moon is right. I came here once before. He rescued me from the brink of death once, many years ago in the desert. When he learned that I was a scholar, he invited me to come here and revive the might of Hermanubis together. It was a great, daring plan, and one shrouded in secrecy. The Temple of Silence had been bereft of Hermanubis for too long. The strength of its faith and its warriors were waning. Ba-Moon proposed that we implant bar fragments, shards of Hermanubis, into the bodies of suitable vessels. If the experiment was successful, the spirit of Hermanubis would then dwell within the vessel, many believers volunteered themselves for the experiment. But we soon discovered that the bodies of grown adults could not withstand Hermanubis' power. In the end, Bamoon offered his own adoptive grandson. One other child was identified as a suitable vessel, and his parents agreed to release him into our custody in exchange for a small fortune. These two children were our only hope for hosting Hermanubis' power.
For many years, the Temple of Silence had been in possession of 2 Ba fragments from Hermanubis. As remnants of his raw power, they were exceedingly rare treasures. The test subjects were sent into a room that had been prepared for the ceremony, and instructed to approach the Ba fragments, whose power had been amplified. If, after some time, this power did not repel them, this would mean that they were suitable vessels. The original plan was for a 3-stage experiment: resonance, implantation, and recovery and observation. The resonance stage went quite smoothly for both candidates. As the second stage began, I realized a decision had to be made. Should we implant the fragments one at a time? This would allow us to monitor the results after the first round and adjust our plan accordingly. Or alternatively, we could implant each fragment in a different vessel at the same time and compare their effects. But as I was deliberating, both Ba fragments suddenly became active. They glowed with a light we had never seen before. I knew that if they were not implanted right away, they would disintegrate and be gone from the world for good. Our 2 vessels had both displayed great promise by successfully resonating with the fragments. Under the circumstances, the thought of implanting both fragments into the same vessel seemed out of the question. To preserve our faith and our power, we implanted each of them with a single fragment.
Ultimately, I ended the experiment and left, taking one of the children with me.
In recognition of your past contributions, I chose not to send someone to hunt down and kill you both. Your lives were spared, but I have paid a great price for your betrayal ever since. I have always wanted to see you, Cyno. Losing you and your Ba fragment dealt us a devastating blow. We've been in decline ever since you left.
I see. So that's how I gained my power.
Look, in essence, I borrowed your Ba fragment for a decade or so. And now you are seeking justice. If you want to take my life, then so be it. I'm an old man now anyway. But you cannot lift a finger against Cyno. He is the General Mahamatra. Your actions would be seen as a declaration of war against the Academia.
I'm sure you don't remember anymore, dear Cyno, but you've met us all before. You were so young then, when we all gathered around and celebrated the revival of our Lord. You and he, Sethos, you were our final hope.
You'd like me to return my power?
As a follower of Hermanubis, I have allowed this power to remain in the rainforest for far too long. Now, it is time to reclaim it.
That power is not yours to reclaim. Cyno was chosen by the gods. You cannot take what they have bestowed.
You are wrong. Cyno was chosen, but he was not the only one. My child, Sethos, has the same gift as he.
So those are your terms for freeing the professor?
Despise me all you want. My sins are my own. The Temple of Silence is an innocent party. It is because of my foolishness all those years ago that the Temple's glory has waned. And now I must take responsibility for the decision I made back then.
So what you're saying is, the power of one Ba fragment is not enough? You're asking me to return the one in my possession, so it can be implanted in him instead?
Divine power causes great suffering to those who wield it. How do you know that Sethos would be able to withstand it?
He is no longer a small child. But regardless, this burden is ours to bear, and your objections mean little given that you turned your back on us long ago.
Both my heart and mind are telling me that what you are proposing is a terrible idea. However...
Don't listen to him, Sino. That power is no more yours to give than it is his to take. You have to understand.
I know. But if this is a question of your freedom versus a fragment of power, then... there is nothing to debate.
Sorry to interrupt, but in my view, there are a number of contentions here that still need addressing. Say that Sino refuses to return his power, and you also refuse to release Cyrus. Then, we are at an impasse. I find it hard to believe that you went to all this effort without planning for that possibility. You're trying to gauge where we stand while keeping your remaining cards close to your chest. Well, my stance is, put the rest of your cards on the table. Then we can have a discussion.
Wait, those ears... So, we have a descendant of the Valukashuna in our midst. Splendid! Fate smiles upon us after all. Everything we have longed for, Hermanubis will provide. Perhaps this very day we'll...
Why is he coughing so much? He looks like he's in really bad shape.
Pamoon, you...
Take our leader back to his room.
Sethos, you must...
Grandfather, I know what you wish to say. Leave this in my... I don't like to drag out conversations, so I'll just cut to the chase. Had Cyrus not stopped the experiment all those years ago, the plan would most likely have been a success. The wisdom of Hermanubis would have been ours. Still, it's no use talking about what-ifs. We cannot change the past. I'm not like my grandfather. The Temple of Silence has a grand legacy and a sacred duty to fulfill. So it's somewhat inevitable for the leader to have an inflated sense of self. But I see things a little differently. I don't believe the temple has the same stature that it once did. Time has worn away at its prestige and changed things almost beyond recognition. So I'm not going to force your hand. You're all free to leave. Except for Cyrus. My grandfather gave him his chance once, and now I'm giving the rest of you yours.
You have courage and wise judgment, kid. Reminds me a lot of Pamoon and his young... I truly wish that the temple would take an object... Things will only continue to improve. Why not consider cooperation?
If you hadn't betrayed my grandfather, I might well be open to...
Tighnari made a good point earlier. He said there has to be more to your plan than this, and I agree. All you and Ba-Moon are after is the Ba fragment. The professor will accept whatever fate you deem fit for him out of a sense of guilt. I am the one who has a choice to make. And that's how it was always going to be. Ultimately, you want to trade the Ba fragment for the professor, correct?
I'm glad to see you're giving it some serious consideration.
I won't forsake my professor. Nor do I intend to run from a problem that I must face sooner or later.
That works. Then I'll be waiting to hear your verdict. Oh, my grandfather still has a fair few things he wants to say to Cyrus.
Are you sure about negotiating?
I need to think this through. Everyone, let's meet again later tonight. Until then,
All right, well, don't put too much pressure.
I've taken some time to reflect on this. He's a stubborn man who tends to double down when he feels strongly about something.
I agree. My master Nephis says the same thing.
So that's one thing. A few other things come to mind too. You've heard all you need to hear about the Temple of Silence. So on that, I don't have anything to add. My own memories of this place are hazy though. Probably something to do with the overpowering... I do remember having some fleeting moments of profound emotion when I was still young then, and all I could understand was that there was a strong will inside my mind. The power that came to inhabit my spirit was probably one of the cornerstones of their whole faith. So if the will and might of Hermanubis is a...
You're not gonna give in to their demands, are you?
No. I have no intention of returning it. I need this power to protect Sumeru. But the temple has the right to make the final decision over its fate, so I will challenge them head on, and win the right to wield...
This reminds me of something Alhaitham mentioned to me just before we... Kaveh has made similar observations about the desert tribes from his work trips there. He says, I think we could turn that to our advantage.
Wow, and just like that, we've turned...
Looks like we have the same idea. Turn it back on them now while we still can.
Great. And I know just how...
Sethos.
Have you made up your mind?
We'll get to that, but first, I have some degree of medical training.
I have no objections, although we do have our own doctors here.
Only one way to find out.
Follow me. Keep your voices down. We don't want to disturb him.
Let's talk outside. Bamoon has fallen into a deep coma, and his prognosis is quite grave. I'm sure that your physicians have come to the same conclusion. He appears to have sustained a serious injury in his youth, which has been exacerbated over the years by the heavy burden of work and now by the effects of old age. Regretfully, I must inform you that based on what I've seen with patients in a similar condition, he doesn't have long left. A few days at most.
Yeah. I've known for a long time.
You're his heir, aren't you? You clearly have a lot of respect for the man. But you also see things differently. You have a broader range of concerns and a more pragmatic approach. So tell me how we can end this on your terms. Let's find a way to bring all this to a resolution while Bamoon is still alive to see it. That's what really matters to you. I know it.
Yeah, there's no time to waste here. You know that better than anyone.
You know, the two of you are actually in a very similar predicament right now. Both of you have a very different perspective from the men who raised you.
Right. And you didn't create this situation. They did, but Somehow you've ended up having to make the tough decisions.
You're right. We both look at this problem very differently than the people we inherited it from. I accept, Sino. This all began because of Hermanubis, so let's end it with the rite he himself created. Legend has it that when Hermanubis first arrived in Tuletula, he sparred with the city's residents. He and his two companions proved their mettle by fighting over several days, winning the support of many fine people. That group of supporters were some of the first members of the Temple of Silence, and the sparring matches were enshrined as one of our founding rites, the rite of duels. It's where it all began.
Sounds very fitting. I'm in.
As a fellow vessel of Hermanubis, your ties to the Temple of Silence run deep. So I will permit you to participate in this rite, along with your chosen companions.
3 against 3. Sounds good.
However, I have some additional terms. As the challengers, you must win all 3 of your fights to win. And Sino, both of us must put our Ba fragment on the line. The winner takes them both. Letting Cyrus leave with one of the Ba fragments was a mistake, made by my grandfather out of pity. It is a long-standing issue that must be addressed for the Temple of Silence to move forward. I can make no concessions on that front.
None needed. We're on the same page. If I win, the Temple of Silence must release Cyrus, and consider this past dispute resolved. If you win, I'll return my power to you.
It's a deal. Then let's meet at the ceremonial hall tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock.
Well, after how that went, there's definitely no turning back now.
There never was. Turning back hasn't been an option for me since the moment the professor slipped away to return to the desert.
You have to win. You need this power, both as General Mahamatra and for yourself.
Yeah, that's right! Besides, it stayed with you ever since you were a small child. Surely that's a sign it thinks of you as its rightful owner.
Both as General Mahamatra and for myself. Yeah, when you put it that way. I've had to overcome a lot to tame this power and claim it for myself. Not everyone could have done that.
Exactly!
The Traveler and I will never lose.
And neither shall I. The desert was home to an ancient and great civilization that, for a variety of reasons, fell out with the civilization of the rainforest. It's just as Dia said. Prejudice has pushed people apart. But there must be personal factors at work here too. I can't shake the feeling that Bamun cares for many more things than he lets on. And I don't think that Sethos is any kind of villain. He's just doing what he thinks is best. Tomorrow, everything will be resolved.
good roll. All right, maybe I'll take one more day off and knock out the rest of the work once I'm feeling up to it. Take it easy.
We gather on this day to perform once more the rite of duels, with the greatest of all sages, Lord Hermanubis, as our witness, for his power and authority is present in our midst. This is our most sacred of ceremonies, and no disruption from the audience shall be tolerated. It is incumbent upon all to observe the duel with the utmost respect and reverence throughout the proceedings. Representing the Temple of Silence, the Defenders.
Grandfather, you're here.
A rite of duels after all these years. I am surprised by your decision, Sethos.
I know what I'm doing, Grandfather. Just leave it to me.
Representing the Academia, the Challengers.
Ready. We will fight to have our voices heard.
Warriors, take your positions and decide on the order of battle. We come not to debate what brings our challengers here, nor
Huh? Are you sure?
I agree. He's very strong. Sending him out for...
Okay, then you're...
Sure.
We have decided.
So have we.
Duelists of the first bout, please step forward.
Don't forget, safety first! Hey, you there! You better play nice with them or Paimon will make you regret it!
A little bit too much chatter from the audience over there.
A swift end to the first bout. I now invite the duelists of the second bout. When you're both ready,
let's begin.
Watch out!
He drank plenty of water before the bout, so he should be fine.
Excuse me? I'll uproot you! One with the force. Let's nip that in the bud. Keep up.
thus ends the second bout. We will now move to the third bout. Duelists, please step forward.
I'm ready.
So am I.
This is the final stage of the rite. I remind you both that the terms you agreed upon, when you're both ready, you may begin.
I am Sethos, vessel of Hermanubis. For many years, we have kept our covenant with Lord Hermanubis by guarding the secrets of King Deshret. And even in our darkest hour, when we could not see, we earnestly sought Lord Hermanubis' wisdom and power. Now, I will fight to become the rightful wielder of that power.
I am Cyno, General Mahamatra of the Academia, student and successor of Cyrus, the Sage of Spantamad. I fight in defense of my power, and you. I think you left some things unsaid. This is a sacred duel, and Hermanubis is watching.
Everyone, old and young, My grandfather is a wise leader. He is also known to be a ruler who is not afraid to get blood on his hands. But our faith has held us back for too long. After I grew up, I went to the rainforest once, and I saw for myself the people. Times have changed. The people of Sumeru are happier and more free now than in the past. I thought about this as I stood at one of the tallest points in the city. Then I thought of you, Cyno. You and each Ba fragment of Hermanubis stands for something different. I once thought that the nature of our fragments must be what makes us so different from one another.
I am more than just a warrior.
Exactly.
The name Hermanubis has left its mark on both of us. So show me your answer, Cyno. Show me I can be more than my faith. Bring it on!
That's all you've got? What happened is searching for your answer.
Fight's over. Do you yield?
You won.
Well then, looks like you found your answer.
I give his glory to you.
I've seen that light. That is the light of our Lord, the great Hermanubis, priest over all other priests. His spirit dwells within that lightning, and his will lives on. Once a warrior of Tynar, he emerged from the barren desert sands to serve the god king Al-Ahmar. After the death of the god king, Hermanubis gathered his followers and the Tynarian priests and led them to the city of Tule-Tula. There, they founded the Temple of Silence, and from that day forth, we became stewards of all knowledge that survived from King Deshret's civilization. Barely a century passed before war ravaged the desert. One by one, Eremite leaders took up arms against each other in battles that would devour what little remained of their civilization. Only the wise city of Tule-Tula was spared under the guiding hand of the Tynarians. But peace did not last. Coveting the knowledge of King Deshret, the beasts set their eyes on Tule Tula. The king of Gurabad laid siege to the city and ordered the sages to surrender to him the Temple of Silence as proof of his victory. The ruling elite colluded with their oppressors, betraying the temple so as to hold on to their rule over the city. They declared that the knowledge guarded by the temple was the true cause of corruption. These were dark days, and we faced enemies on all sides. Our lord had long since exhausted his strength, keeping the forbidden knowledge introduced by King Deshret at bay. To ensure the temple's continued survival, he broke his being into many pieces and began the ceremony of Hermanubis' legacy, bestowing his power upon his mortal followers. With this power, the temple was able to defeat the tyrant's army. Yet, we were not hailed as heroes. Strange and unfamiliar as this power was, it struck fear into the people's hearts and drove them to reject us. In the end, the people of the temple and the Tule Tula Tainarians left the city for good and made their way to the rainforest. What followed next was inevitable. The elite of Tule Tula fell and were decimated. War engulfed the desert. And we wandered from place to place, always in hiding, all the while keeping close watch over our secrets and staying true to our mission. Betrayal forced us out of the desert and into the forest. Then mistrust drove us from the forest into the desert once more. We have lived in exile for far, far too long. Yet, today, the Temple of Silence has borne witness to the glory of Hermanubis once more. Thank you.
How is it? Do you feel okay?
Grandfather.
Hey, Sethos.
I know.
I guess you were prepared for this. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Yeah. He's been on death's door for a very long time now. I think it was only through at least he was able to see this chapter come to a close.
What's next for you?
Per my grandfather's last wishes, the Temple of Silence should submit to whoever...
But that's never going to work, as I'm sure you realize. I'm the General Mahamatra. I am needed back at the I did foresee this possibility, and I gave it some thought. The fact is, I know next to nothing about the staff, records, and environment here. As such, I am ill-suited to be your leader, Sethos. Were it not for this duel, or indeed if you had other intentions, the Ba fragments would most likely be in your hands by now. I'm sure Bamun never meant for anyone but you to be his successor.
You really think so?
I do.
Still, I didn't think Bamoon looked very surprised by the final result. Perhaps he had an inkling that this would be the way things end.
Well, in any case, since the Ba fragments are with me now, Sethos, I would like you to succeed Bamoon as the new leader of the Temple of Silence.
But doesn't that render everything that we've been through up to now meaningless?
No, it doesn't. This experience has allowed us to become friends, which means that the Academia, and that's a much bigger deal than you might think, Sethos. You said yourself, times have changed. You have to believe that things can change for the better here at the temple.
I will try. To be honest...
Actually, part of me wonders whether Bamoon's intentions from the very beginning was just to create enough pressure to force us towards a duel. That way, no matter who won, one of us would have to surrender our Ba fragment, and the power of Hermanubis would be concentrated in one single person. Had you won, the Temple of Silence would have doubled its strength. And were I to win, he correctly anticipated that I wouldn't suddenly drop everything to become the leader of the temple, much less integrate the temple into the Academia by force. He knew that the temple's future would depend not just on the guidance of Hermanubis, but the support of the Academia too. So he made it his responsibility to ensure his successor would... His plan meant that whoever ended up succeeding him, they would have an easier time interacting with the Academia. With one single letter, he lured out the professor.
And here I thought the General Mahamatra wouldn't care for all these trivial details. You're absolutely right. Grandfather and I considered this from every angle. We had to find a way to mend our relationship with the Academia. Thank you for everything, Sino. As a gesture of our gratitude, to those that you and Lesser Lord Kusanali deem worthy, I will grant the honor of access to the Temple of Silence for their pursuit of knowledge. The Temple of Silence has a wealth of information on King Deshret's civilization, more than any other organization, but you must be exceedingly careful with your selection of candidates, lest you lead... By the way, Tighnari, my grandfather was so happy to see you. You are a descendant of the Veluca Shuna. The story goes that King Deshret chose the sage Hermanubis from among the Tighnarians and appointed him as his familiar. He went on to fight many valiant battles with his Tighnarian companions. The Tighnarians who left Tuletula joined their human counterparts in the rainforest. A few centuries later, when some of the group returned to the desert, many of the Tighnarians chose to... In all likelihood, those were your ancestors.
How fascinating. My father once mentioned that I was named after the Tighnarians, but I never knew that my forebears had such a history with the Temple of Silence.
I like this story.
By the way, has anyone...
Yes. Cyrus. You'll probably find him in my grandfather's room.
If it's true that you and your grandfather really planned for everything to turn out this way, then I guess he didn't really resent Cyrus as much as he appeared to.
Who knows? Perhaps all of us.
Someone's got to make the decisions when history is at a crossroads. I will make a detailed report on all of this to Lesser Lord Kusanali, and arrange for an official delegation from the Academia to come and meet you in the desert. I'm sure you'll have lots to attend to in the days ahead. But once things return to normal, please come and visit the rainforest again. If we're going to work together, both sides have to get to know one another better.
I will. All right. Well, bye for now.
See you soon. Come hang out with us anytime.
What were you thinking gallivanting off into the desert alone at your age? What if you take the bucket, You told not a soul what you were up to, designated nobody to handle your affairs, and left everyone scrambling frantically to try and figure out how on earth to clean up the Colossus.
Oh, please, will you stop your yelling? What other choice did I have?
What do you mean, what other choice? Do you mean to tell me that after all your years of learning, and sagehood no less, the only idea you could conjure up in that white-haired walnut of yours was to shoot off into the unknown like some hot-headed 20-year-old adventurer? A one-man suicide mission, That's the best idea that one of the finest minds of a generation could come up with, is it? It astounds me that you survived the journey, and you're lucky that Ba Moon didn't finish you off when you arrived.
All right, all right. Honestly, the way you're going off on me, it's like you wish you'd been there to lend him a hand. Does it mean nothing?
I've got nothing more to say. What's the point of berating an old bag of bones?
What do you mean, bag of bones? I'm a flesh and blood hero, who, despite his old age... Okay, look. Fine, I admit it.
1 month?
Hinari's master is really laying into Cyrus.
Professor brought this on himself.
Wow, I haven't seen Master get this riled up, and the last time he chewed someone out like this must have been back when I was still
I think I'll go around and update everyone. Tell them the situation's resolved. We can go for dinner afterwards. My treat
makes sense. I'm in.
Paimon's coming too!
Hey, Kale.
You're back! Well, look who we have here. Would you mind explaining to me what has...
All taken care of.
That does not answer my question. How could you be so careless? That goes for you as well. Yes, and you too. When you run into problems, you really ought to ask for help, you know? I've been around...
Now would not be a good time to attempt to argue with Farazan.
You're right.
It's not the first time that I've had to talk to you about this sort of thing either. You need to learn that there are times when the right thing to do is get a more experienced member of staff involved.
Kale, please do something.
He's giving me the signal. All right, guess it's time to play my ace in the... Say, Madame Farazan, I can see you're pretty upset, but,
Huh? Wait, did I hear that right? Kale, you remember? Wonderful. Well, of course the offer still stands. Come on. Madame Farazan will show you around the old classrooms.
Poor Kale getting dragged off like that. Also, check out Farazan acting like some sort of official academia tour guide.
Kale! Cup.
Huh? What?
What do you mean, cup?
Oh, it's nothing. Just Master's way of reminding me to stay hydrated while I'm out and about.
It's code for let's reconvene at the cafe. Tighnari and I used it while we were in school, and it's become something of a family.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
2 people left. Let's...
Take it easy.
Am I hallucinating? Or do I see Kaveh and Alhaitham engaged in diligent studying?
We're just reorganizing all the books we used. Look,
there's no rush. Nobody reads these books anyway.
My sincere thanks to you both.
Yes, with your help, we resolved the issue rather swiftly and painlessly. and the outcome was better than we could have hoped for.
I see. The Temple of Silence resorted to rather unique
And it sounds like they managed to preserve a whole load of ancient documents as well.
That day will come. The Temple of Silence is a hugely important organization, and we'll be sure to maintain good now as a token of my appreciation.
Yeah, sounds great. Although after the last few days, I don't know if I can handle.
Sure.
And then, the Traveler just pounced on their opponent and knocked. Then there was Tighnari. He put up an amazing fight, too. We ended up winning all 3 bouts. Whoa.
A truly edifying account of the events.
Hey, Paimon included all the juicy details. The Traveler just pounced and then waved their sword like this, then split him.
Despite winning 3 bouts in a row, you still ceded the position of leader to him. That's very dignified of you, Cyno.
Of course. Being dignified comes with being a true champ.
I got to be a champion too for once.
Yeah, huge place. It felt like something right out of an epic poem. Imagine this. It was like there was...
Maybe save that one for later, Paimon.
I think that'll do me for
Shall we stop off at the House of Dana again before heading home?
My thoughts exactly. See you around.
I should get going as well. See you all later.
I need to go say thanks to the Core 30 for their help. Also, Sir Nephis says he wanted to introduce me to some of the Academia's work processes. So, I gotta dash too.
Kale's come a long way. She's much more confident.
Everyone's a work in progress. You never stop learning.
Yeah, true.
That was good. It feels like everything's finally wrapped up. Life is all about these moments when you can finally relax and hang out with good friends after a job.
Do you 3 have anything planned for the rest of... If not, would you come somewhere with me? That's a secret for now.
Okay. I think I can guess what you're talking about.
Well, now Paimon's curious. Come on.
Been a while since I last made my way up here.
Wow, look at this place! We're so high up!
Need any help? As you...
It's a nice spot, isn't it?
What a great view! We're so high up, we can see for miles!
Traveler, turn around. This is my secret base. Somewhere I only bring my best friends. When I was a student, I used to slip away and climb up here all the time, just to clear my head. I was quite young then. Back then, I had a lot of the same questions that Sethos was asking. Who am I? Why do I have this power? Our gifts help us to find our rightful place in the world.
You two really are like brothers.
I feel the same way. Of course. I see no need to be humble when it comes to the facts.
I still remember one time when we came up here to chat and do our homework. Sino accidentally dropped a fruit. Luckily, he has fast reflexes, so he caught it.
That was the one and only time. Nothing will ever slip through my fingers again.
Those were good times. I kind of miss the student life.
You know, Paimon really shouldn't be able to imagine Sino doing something like that, but for some strange reason, the mental image is coming through clear as day.
Then make it stop. There's somebody there. It's... You guys carry on with that.
Okay.
Huh? Hey, you're not supposed to jump down!
Oh my days. I can't believe how...
Professor, what are you muttering to yourself about?
Sino. Ha, just the man I'm looking for. Guess what I found in some old notebook?
Some old photos?
Can you believe it? This notebook was just sitting in a pile of odds and ends in the Sage's office. I was at the Academia earlier to discuss my workload with Nephis. I swung by the old office to have a look. Oh, time flies. Look how tiny you are in this picture. Still a kid.
You look quite young yourself in that one. Ah, it's this one. I remember that. Lisa took it, didn't she?
Yep. Looks like her work, all right. Who else could have found just the right angle to make me look so unbelievably hideous?
And this one. What's a...
Oh, cheeky girl.
Is there something you'd like to say to me, Professor?
Like what? Like, these are... hey, at moments like this, I hardly know where to begin. I can't pretend I'm a good person. But Moon had every reason to despise me. And well, so do you if you feel the same way.
Don't be ridiculous, you old codger.
Is that not what you wanted me to say? Oh, I've dreamt of that place many times after leaving the desert. Sometimes I've dreamed that I was doing research with him again. Oh, it was one of the happy... You've matured so much over the years, I know.
Since you're my professor, I should save you some face by not calling you out on all the non-answers you just gave.
Good thinking. Take your own advice next time. Seriously, why bully an old man like me? I thought, hey, wait, how did I not notice this one earlier?
Lisa strikes again. Just how many did she take?
Look how cute you were when you were little. I remember how well...
Yeah, and look how serious and professional you used to be.
Oh, I can't compete with you anymore. First you get better than me at the deadpan jokes, and now you're besting me at those little quips too.
Don't say that.
That's more like it. Hey, what would you say to meeting up with Lisa again sometime?
I'd like that. Let's find a time and pay her a visit in Mondstadt.
All right, I'll add it to my schedule. Let's go next week. Wait, no. Next week is the tomato growing competition. I have got to beat Zaha Hadid.
Or you could find a real hobby.